Hey guys, Merry Christmas! Would you like to discover literary marvels such as A Death in Sweden, a best-selling thriller novel? Or what about Beauty of the Beast, a vampire novel? Or maybe you're just looking for love and purpose in your life. Check out my blog at frédéricbaye.com. That's frédéricbaye.com. But for now, enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Merry Christmas. This is the 23rd of December. In 2 days, it's going to be Christmas. Tomorrow it's Christmas Eve. I personally love Christmas. I like Christmas. And you know what? I send all my love, all my prayers, everything else, everything to all you people out there who are listening right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you know what? I hope you're having a great Christmas. And thank you so much for pushing the download button. I am Frédéric Baye, and I am talking to you, not from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. No, I am talking to you from the Caribbeans. That's right. I am talking to you from Guadeloupe. I don't mean to sound like a turd or anything, but I am here. I'm enjoying the beach. I am enjoying the view. I am enjoying the temperature. I am enjoying myself. I am here with my girl, with her family. And you know what? I'm going to stay here until January 4th. And, so that's where I am. You are listening to the Book Geek Unchained, home of the literary marvels. Those you know and those you don't know. I am a guy. I am a dude. I am a geek. I am a bookworm. I am a writer. I am an animal lover. This podcast is about fiction and non-fiction books, books that we love. Books change lives, right? Books entertain us. Books are everything that this podcast is about. This is a live podcast, basically. That's right. It's free every time you download it on iTunes. Please go over there and subscribe. It is listener supported, so that's why it's free. It is free every single week. I bring it to you every single week. So you can download it on iTunes. Please go over there. The way you can do that if you want to support it, the way you can do that is tell a friend, leave a review on iTunes, or for more podcasts, free gifts, Q&As, articles, subscribe at frédéricbaye.com. That's frédéricbaye.com. On Twitter at ByFred, or on Facebook. Simply type in my name, Frédéric Baye, and finally check out my YouTube channel, The Book Geek, for previous episodes. Hey, this week's blog, I'm bringing to you part 2 with Victoria Faust, an amazing writer with great reviews for her latest novel, Beauty of the Beast, available now on Amazon. Victoria Faust's work has been labeled captivating, a fantastic story, a 5-star page-turner. In this in-depth 2-part interview, and this week I'm bringing you the second part. She opens up about the creation of her vampire novel, but also about her life's purpose. She opens up about wartime. She went through war, ladies and gentlemen, in Croatia. And it's a deep, go check it out. It's a deep interview. It's an interview that, it will bring something to you. It will affect your soul. I guarantee you that. She has an amazing life story. She was gracious enough to talk to us about it. And you know what? God bless her. God bless her for all her work. God bless her for all she's been a writer for more than 20 years or 30 years. I'm sorry. And she is amazing. She was open, so go check it out right now for more Q&As with #1 best-selling authors such as Kevin Wignall, Alex Lucien. That's FrédéricBaye.com. Right before we get to it, as many of you know, I like to start off with something funny. And this week it's about a man and his wife. Listen to this. One night, this guy comes into a bar and asks the bartender for a drink. Then he asks for another, then another, then another. This goes on for a half an hour, and the bartender begins to get worried. What's the matter? The bartender asks. The man replies, my wife and I got into a fight, and now she is not talking to me for a whole 31 days. After thinking it over, in a reassuring tone, the bartender asks, but isn't it a good thing that she is not talking to you? The man replies, yeah, except today is the last night. Okay, I love you all women out there. You know, we all have these arguments with, you know, our loved ones. We could reverse the roles too. You know, it could be the woman that takes the place of the man. But anyway, I just thought this one was a little funny. It made me smirked. So I said, you know what? I'm going to share it with you guys. Okay. Today, I decided to replay an interview I did a few months ago. Here on the Book Chained, on the Book Geek Unchained, we are unafraid to touch on the hot subjects. And today, we talk about a subject that is in so many novels, so many places. And we are joined by a friend of mine. Her name is Rimel. And we talk about Islam. I mean, I know you read the papers. You read the news, and I know that you read the countless books on the matter. It is used in literature all the time, and it is so controversial, especially with the recent events. And you know what? I decided to give it to replay this episode because it was an episode that I brought to you guys before the events in Paris, and I truly believe that right now Islamic people, I mean, they get a bad rap, and you know what? They deserve to have a voice. And I'm not Islam. I don't consider myself a Muslim, you know, on any level, but I do know people who are Muslim, and you know what? I want to give them a voice. It is used in literature all the time. It is a great conversation. She was kind enough to open up about her spirituality, and we talk about the controversial subjects, such as the association with terrorism, treatment of women, their attire, and more. Geekers, join us for this one-of-a-kind conversation with a great person. So, without further ado, we're going to be joined by a friend, a writer, an avid reader. Keep your ears open. That's a very interesting conversation. And we're going to get to the conversation right after this. Hey guys, quick thanks to RadioGuestList.com, where you can find people to interview for free. Or if you want to be interviewed, you can go there too. RadioGuestList.com. Thank you guys for your support. And speaking of you listeners, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. If you would like to be on this show to discuss a book you have written or that you loved, if you have a book recommendation or you just want to chat, email me. I want to hear from you at info@FrédéricBaye.com. That's info@FrédéricBaye.com. And for advertisement offers, use the same address with subject advertising. Hello. So we are here with Rimel Meleb. She is a writer studying in sociology. How are you today, Rimel?
Good, good. How about you?
I am fabulous. Hey, you know what? I really wanted you on the show because I've known you now for maybe a little over 2 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
And I think you're a very passionate person. And, we talked once about the subject that we were going to talk about today, which is, Islam and all of that. And you really hooked me. You really, you know what? I didn't even know you were a Muslim. And to be honest, when I found out, I didn't really care, to be honest. But I just thought about doing that show with you because I think you have something to say, and I think it's going to be fun.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
So give our listeners here a little bit an idea of your background. Where were you born?
So I was born in Algeria. I grew up there for 12 years or something. Then I came to Canada with my family. So I pretty much lived half of my life in Algeria and half here.
Okay.
Right now I'm studying at UQAM. I'm doing sociology and economy. And like you said, I'm writing in my spare time. So that's it, I think.
And tell us a little bit about the values that were instilled in you as you were growing up. So you really grew up with a Muslim mentality, right? With Muslim values.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it wasn't, present like, it's, when you say that, I'm kind of surprised because that's not really how I always viewed it, I don't have this representation of my childhood, like an Islamic childhood or something. But when I think about it, it's true that, the values of Islam were there, but it wasn't kind of dogmatic or something. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. I'm half of my family is in Africa, which, Republic of Gabon. And my girlfriend, actually, she's, from Guadeloupe. And, there's a huge difference between there and in America. Like, family, on the family side, I mean, the values, family values and all that. What are the differences that you see between those values and the values here in America?
That's a really hard question because it's kind of dangerous to try and answer, because you can easily fall into generalizations. So yeah, it's hard to answer, but there are definitely, I'd say the family values, like you said, I felt that they were more present in Algeria. And I don't want it to come out like, comparing the two countries by saying Algeria is better because family values are stronger. I think it's just two very different environment that, like everything is relative. So I won't say that it's better because there are more family values, but definitely with someone that grew up in a society where family is very important. Here sometimes in my teenage years, it was a bit surprising how it was so much less present or had less importance.
Yeah, and you know what? I hear you because, for me, it does bother me that here in Canada, families are not as close and families are not, most families anyway, we're so individualistic, and I think to me in my life, I know that's missing, but when I go over there in Africa and there's just this huge, like, how can I say this? There's this camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much you know, how many conflicts there are. I don't, you know, they're your family. Mm-hmm. Like they always say your family. And I think it's the same thing with Muslims and, you know, not just Muslims, but,
yeah,
know.
Not just Muslims.
Yeah.
I think everything is related. So, economic aspects of society, for example, are so present in those kind of relations. For example, in North America, I think one of the problems of why individualism is taking too much place maybe is because of capitalism. Mm. So there is this, productivity, and there isn't a big necessity of productivity that makes people very individualist, that gives them this urge to produce, to be better than others, to not lose time. Specifically that here in North America, we are not allowed to lose time, which is so completely not true in Africa, where it's being occidentalized. So yes, of course, there is this not losing time thing that is starting to, you know, to grow there, but still there is still time to lose, you know. When I was in Senegal, because I spent 3 weeks in Senegal, there was Senegalese saying that went like, if I translated something like, Americans have watches, we have time. And I like it very much because I think it represents, you know, this difference of cultures, that there is so much centered on capitalism in North America and less a little bit in North Africa, in Africa in general, or in the South actually.
It's an interesting point you just said, because I was talking about this morning with somebody I know, and you know what drives me nuts about going to Africa is that time. I hate the fact that something that may take 30 minutes is going to take 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't stand that. I could never, I don't know I don't think I'd be able to live there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's true that when we get used to how time works here, it just seems so slow and so unpredictable there. And it's true that it's unpredictable, but then again, it depends, like productivity is not necessarily something good, you know, it's a value like anything else. It's neutral, you know. And actually right now it's not neutral. It's pretty much, affecting people's life. But, you know, like, if we're not talking about capitalism or economy right now, productivity is just neutral. It's not something that is necessarily good. We've been hearing that productivity is so important, so we just internalize it. But actually, you know, here or there, it's just different.
Yeah, well, I was going to say something, but yeah, it's just, I just couldn't live there anyway. So.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because sometimes myself, I get frustrated when I, you know, go there and I'm like, why things are not moving. And there's this little voice in my head that's saying, calm down. Just, you know, you're productivity freak talking. So just calm down. But I do get what you're saying. I mean, I feel it too. I just try to like, you know, rationalize it. And
over there, they're too slow. Here, we're too fast. Like there's no middle. There should be a middle. You know what I mean? Like here, we're too busy. And over there, they're too laid back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's just really different. I don't think I don't think middle would necessarily be better.
No, I get it. It's not necessarily better, but you know, a different life anyway. All right, moving on. So tell me, how was schooling? I mean, did others know that you were Muslim? Did others know that you were, you know, did others know about your
I guess, I mean, I could pass for pretty much everything if not for my accent. So when I don't speak, like before I speak, I can pass for, yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, I don't have, I'm not, I'm not a visible minority, but someone told me that, once I was, talking and I said, yeah, I like being part of a visible minority. And he was like, yeah, no, you're not, but you're a part of an audible minority, which I found funny because it's true. Before I talk, people usually just don't know from where I am. But then, of course, after a while, they just, they know that I'm not from here. I'm Algerian or something. But I think, Muslim, most of the time I have to say it for them to know.
Okay.
So sometimes it can just take time because, I mean, it's not written on my face. So.
And, when they find out, do you see a difference in their attitude?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Like, can you give us an example?
Sometimes there's just some sort of discomfort, sorry, when people hear that. So this kind of, I don't know, they suddenly realize that you're different, and they like it, and it shouldn't be, because it's like it's taken like a really big difference. Like there are other differences because people are all different, and we're not all the same anyway. So, but this is most of the time taken like a very marginal difference, like it's something to really care about, like it changes the way people see you.
It's interesting because isn't that crazy when how much like you just said, once they find out they change. Like yeah. I think like you said, I think it's sad.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're the same individual.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were kind before, well, you're going to be kind. I mean, and it's sad because we have all these preconceived ideas about that because of what we see on television.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's my phone ringing. It's okay. Someone is going to pick up.
Right, okay.
3, 3, 6, 4, 9, 2, 9, 9, 1, 7.
Okay, you can go on.
Right. So, tell us, what are the most misunderstood ideas about Islam or Muslims?
I think it depends a lot of the environment you're in. You'd have, for me to answer, I think it would have to be in a specific environment, because I could, for example, talk about the most present in society, but this is not necessarily the one I face. Mm-hmm. So depend what you mean.
Okay. Because we see stuff on television, terrorism, blah, blah, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, exactly. You I think you spotted, one of the most important, terrorism, which is just ridiculous because it's so present in mass media. But when you just do a bit of research, you realize how much it's ridiculous that it's so present. For example, in Europe, most of the terrorist attacks that happen every year are by federalist terrorist group and non-Muslim. So there are more attacks from nationalist terrorist groups. That want independence for their country or something like that. But we never hear about that, or so rarely, but we hear all the time about Muslim terrorist attacks. So, I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. It's Muslim terrorist attack in Europe. It's like 2% of all attacks. So where are all the 98 other % on television? I mean,
for me, I think that oftentimes the religion, it gets a bad rap. And the reason I say this is because I try to not generalize everything. And the reason is I had bosses before that were, I think they were Algerian actually, from Morocco. Anyway. So, and they were the kindest person They were the kindest bosses I've ever had. Like,
Mm-hmm.
literally, you know? And, sometimes, you know, I know nothing about, the Muslim or Quran and all that. Give us an idea of what the Quran is. Cause I think when we talked, like, I think it was like maybe 8 months ago, you mentioned it was the Bible mixed with, I mean, actually, Islam is not just one religion. It's actually a lot of major religions combined, I think.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, Muslims believe in Jesus and Abraham and like all the prophets, because we don't deny Christianity or Judaism. We just think that chronologically Islam, the Quran arrived after, so it's like the latest version or something. But we definitely do not deny what came before as part of our religion. So we believe in Jesus just like we believe in Muhammad.
That's interesting, because I think most people don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know that because most people think that we hate other religions, which is just so ridiculous. Actually, a man once told me, I was on a trip. Okay, I was in Cuba, so I was on vacation, and one of the tourists there, he was also from Quebec, and he actually told me that he was just certain, because he read it somewhere, that Muslims have to kill 2 Christians to go to paradise. Okay. So, and I mean, like, it's so specific, you know, like 2 Christian. It's not like 3 or 1 or 2. Like, how did you even come up with that? Why is it 2? Why? It's just, why is it Christians and not Jews? Why is it, I mean, how? From where did you just took that? So yeah, of course people don't know that, because they just, a lot of them just believe that, you know, we're crazy people running around trying to kill Christians and Jews and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, the media, you know, I mean, how can I say this? It's a buffet for them. It's almost like, you know, and anyway, so, what is the difference between Islam and Muslims?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a big difference, actually, because Islam gets a lot mixed with its cultural transformation. So there is the Quran, which is the main source we're supposed to, you know, read and understand. But then each society has its own traditions and its own culture, and sadly, people in power tend to use the Quran to justify some things that has nothing to do. So I think it's a blame that goes to some Muslim societies that just use Quran for things they're not supposed to do it, but also again media and stuff like that just you know, create links between stuff that has just that just don't share any link. Like, for example, excision in Africa. It's not a Muslim issue. It just has absolutely nothing to do with Islam. The countries that practice it are, some of them are Muslim, just like some of them are Christians, just like some of them are other, religions. And there is not even, you know, more Muslims than Christians in that part of the world. So I don't know from where came the relation between the two, especially when we know that all the other Muslims in the world don't practice it, has never practiced it. So it has nothing to do with it. You know, it's not present in North Africa. It's not present in Asia. It's not present, you know, it's nowhere there. So that's for the media manipulation. But again, of course, there are Muslims who use the Quran, who take parts from out of their context to justify stuff that have nothing to do with Islam. And a lot of people practice Islam just because they grew up in it, so they never they never, they never actually learn about it. They never really read the Quran to understand it. So they just practice the part that was passed on, and they don't always, have the values that goes with it. So I think it's a really big difference between Islam and Muslims, because not all Muslims practice Islam.
Okay. Interesting. I think you said something very important. You say that many people use the Quran to justify their acts. And I think a lot of Christians, if you look through history, it's the same thing with Christians.
Yeah.
If you look through history, like even the war, like in the 1900s and all that, they were all justified as Christian. It was justified with religion. So, something, that's why I see sometimes, Islam, I think, gets a bad rap, unfortunately. And also because we see these images on TV, like Israel and all, they're all like, I don't know, ever since I've been born, they've been in war.
Yeah. And then again, that's another stereotype, because when a Muslim talks about what happens in Palestine and, takes a stand against Israel, he's automatically labeled as an anti-Semite, which is so not true, because it's not the same thing. Like, there are a lot of Jews that are against Israel. I mean, it's not hating Jews. It's just being against a genocide that's happening there. I mean, there are people dying every day. They're literally living in a concentration camp. Sorry. So why can't we take a stand against that without being, and all that stuff about Muslims and Arabs in general being at war with Jews forever, it's all not true. Actually, when Europeans were chasing Muslims, I'm not talking about World War II, but before, because the hate of Jews was present in Europe for centuries. So when they were being mistreated in Europe, they flew to Muslim countries, because Muslim and Jews were actually getting along pretty well, and Muslims were open to having Jewish in their lands, so that's just something that media created to nurture this fake hate that is becoming real because of media. But being against Israel and the horrors that it's perpetrating is not being against Jews. It's just being against a political situation that shouldn't be accepted.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay. That's an important point. A political situation that shouldn't be accepted. Is that the real war? Because we often hear that the wars over there, they're always religious wars.
Honestly, I don't think so. I think religion is used to mask other issues, to mask the fact that the West has a lot to do in this war, because after all, they're the one that gave the land, kind of gave it to Israel. So like a lot of times, in the recent history of humanity, I'm precising that it's in the recent history because I don't want it to come out like the West is the devil and they're like, horrible humans, because I think all the civilizations, all the people, when they get the power, they tend to do horrible things. So it's not the West because its culture is bad or something, but because right now it has the power, so it's oppressing a lot of people. So yeah, so it's meant to, to hide the fact that the West has something to do in it, and that, there is a war, for resources, for a strategic land, for oil, for a lot of stuff, that it's politics, that it's, international relations, and religion is, yes, used to kind of, I don't know the word in English, but galvaniser in French. How do you say that in English?
Like destroy? No,
like like to motivate people to hate each other, to nurture the war and stuff. But maybe it's part of the issue, but I don't think we can call it a religion, a war about religion, because there are a lot of other issues underneath that. And again, like I said, Jews and Muslims don't have a long hating history like media and like hegemonic powers want us to believe. It's just not true.
You know what? I totally believe you. And the reason I believe you is because I listen to a podcast, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he often mentions how he went to war in Vietnam. And he says that they were, even they were brainwashed saying, okay, we're going to war because, the reason was, I think it was like, to stand out, to stand up for ourselves and all that. But he just found out that all they went to war for was oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you said, they cover it with, religion. I even mentioned that, oh yeah, we're going as Christians over there. Like,
yeah, ideology is always used to motivate people to go to war and to make them forget that war is never, never, never in the interest of people, but always in the interest of the few in power.
Absolutely. I often hear both versions about Islam and Muslims. Some people say, like, let's say famous example, Jackson says Islam is such a peaceful religion. I mean, he's an Islamic, and then
who, sorry, I didn't hear the name.
German Jackson.
Okay.
And then you have the other version that says, like, I saw recently an article in Facebook how the woman, she was born a Muslim, but she never studied it. It's just like, you're labeled. And then she found out that it was a religion of war. Like, if you read the Quran, it's a religion of war, and she turned to a Christian.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. Okay, I believe people who said that they had a bad experience growing up, because like I said, culture is in Islamic regions or countries don't always reflect real Islam. But if she says that she read the Quran and it's talking about war, that I have a hard time to believe, because the word peace, I don't remember exactly the number, but there are statistics about the words mentioned in Quran, and I think you could Google it up pretty quickly. But there are, like, I think 300 times more the word peace than the word war and stuff like that. So it's most of the time about peace, about loving others, about charity, one of the 5 pillars of Islam is charity. There is nothing about war or violence in the 5 pillars, which is, the word is saying it, pillars, and charity is in there. Friendship is also a very important value in Islam. Actually, there is a phrase that, if I translate it, means not the religion, but let's say religion. Religion is social interactions, and religion means Islam in this case. So Islam is a lot about your interactions with others, about the good you do around you, about just being actually a good human being to your community and giving good things. So it's definitely not about war. So I honestly would like to talk with this woman and have her show me her sources and where did she get that. If she got it directly from the Quran, I would just be surprised. But if it's articles from people, then yeah, that would not be surprising. But because you can analyze it just like you want. You can take the few times where it's mentioning war, because yes, war is part of history of people and stuff. So of course it talks about it because it's a book that talks about a lot of things. So yeah, it talks about it. So you can just take these parts and say, ha ha ha, here it is. But then again, if you compare it with all what it says, it's just ridiculous to say that it's a religion about war, because it's not.
Interesting. Yeah. I get it. I think, and again, because of what we hear on television, what we see on the internet, a lot of people here in Quebec, and Canada, I think, America in general, I think, they know nothing about Islam, but they listen to the TV and they think they know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, and I hear that and I see articles about that, they're afraid of a takeover.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, because if you study history, there were always an enemy. There were always something that was, threatening, people and civilizations and stuff. So it's just ridiculous that we keep falling for that each time, for that, threat of these people taking over. Like before it was Jews and now it's Muslims, and there was time where it was, you can name pretty much everything actually, because we all were at some point the enemy that was threatening to take over. So, and like Camus said, we're all the stranger of someone else. So I think it's just ridiculous that we keep falling for that the idea of people taking over.
Yeah. And also like, I was talking to someone recently, and what's your opinion on women being covered, all the faces covered, being accepted, when, let's say they want to enroll into, I don't know, when they have to come to immigration, and all that, when you have to do like legal stuff, what's your opinion on it?
Actually, I'm pretty much for the open all borders stuff. So that's a hard question for me to answer, because for me there shouldn't be these kind of borders that they're just used to contain people in dominated countries and to keep them from going in, dominant countries, to keep this unbalanced equilibrium between powers and stuff. So, and in a more humanitarian spirit, I just want to say, just no borders. Why? It's just the earth doesn't belong to you. Like how can you just, take how do you just believe that you can put borders and say you can't cross it? So for me, all the idea of borders is ridiculous. I believe in diversity of cultures, on protecting and nurturing cultures and stuff, but the borders, I think that's ridiculous. So
by the borders you mean?
I mean borders between countries that allow a country to refuse access for someone from elsewhere. Yeah. I talked about culture because I don't believe that we all should be the same, talk the same language, and have the same belief and stuff. Because I know that some people that believe in not having borders believe in that too, which is not my case. I believe in cultural diversity, but I'm really not. The idea of borders for me is just not something that should exist.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so tell me about, we often talk about ignorance and indifference. Would you agree with me that what hurts Islam most and all that, it's ignorance? Because everybody talks as if they know about it.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't, most of the time, people don't want to put themselves in the shoes of others. one of the things that irritates me the most is when people talk about religious people like they were stupid, like they just didn't like they're not, they're not intelligent enough. They didn't reach the state where you understand that God doesn't exist. They kind of make a hierarchy and an evolution where uncivilized people or less intelligent believe in God, and then there is some stage where you understand that God doesn't exist, which is ridiculous for me, because I honestly understand how you can be an atheist, and I truly believe that it's just obvious that if I was born in an atheist environment, I would be atheist, but that doesn't mean that being atheist is being more intelligent or something. It's the same thing. It's also a result of how you were brought up, of the experiences you had so there is no, yes, there's no proof that God exists, but there's no proof that he doesn't exist either. So I don't see why one is more valid than the other.
Yep. Interesting. One other thing, I'd like to go back to what we said earlier. I think the major reason why people don't like the, women who are covered with, cover their face and all that is because most of them feel that, hey, if I go to their country, I have to obey their rules. And if they come here, well, why don't they obey our rules?
Okay, well, two things. The first one is that it's not true. It's true in some countries, but it's not true. If you go to Algeria, you don't have to be covered. I'm Algerian. I don't wear hijab. My mother doesn't wear it. She lived in Algeria for 40 years. She was never covered, and she was just living her life. So, that's not true for most of Muslim countries. Because people, when they talk about Muslim countries, they automatically think about Saudi Arabia. But there is Indonesia. The place where there are most Muslim in the world is Indonesia. It's not even, actually there are more non-Arab Muslims than Arab Muslims. So
really?
Yeah. There are significantly more. It's I think 60% or 70%. So.
Well, okay. So what religion are most Arabs then?
No, okay. Most Arabs are Muslims, but not most Muslims are Arabs.
Oh.
Because there are almost 2 billion of Muslims in the world, and there are not so many Arabs. North Africa, if you consider it as Arab, because I don't, but that's another debate. So there is North Africa and there is the Middle East, but again, there is all the rest of Africa that has a lot of Muslims that are obviously not Arab. There is a region of Muslims in China. So it's a small region compared to all of China, but China is so big and so populated that it's still a lot of Muslims. There are Turkish people are not Arabs, but they're Muslims. There is Indonesia. There is Pakistan. There is, Muslims are all around the world, and it's not just Arabs. Actually, it's mainly not Arabs. So again, if you go to Muslim countries, most of the time you don't have to wear hijab or stuff like that. But then my second argument is, even if that were true, it's not because someone is doing something stupid that you have to do it too. It's not because someone is trying to force people to do, to do things that they don't believe in, that you should do the same thing. We're supposed to try to get better and for me as a human, that's the goal, to get better, to understand more, not to say, haha, he's making me do that, so I'll do the same. That's, I think it's a childish logic. Not just because in Saudi Arabia you have to, and even that, I'm not sure, I don't know the laws of Saudi Arabia, but that's very possible. So even if in Saudi Arabia they make you wear hijab, if you go there, I'm not gonna do the same just because their extremists. This is just such a childish logic, you know?
Wow. Interesting. Hey, you know what? Childish logic. I think you nail it on the head. I think terrorists are terrorists because they're terrorists. They're not terrorists because they're Muslims or Islams or Islamists. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I totally agree with you. It's a childish logic that, I'm going to do. Yeah, I get it. What's the difference? What's the difference between spirituality and religion for you?
That's a very good question. Well, for me, obviously they are interconnected because my spirituality is related to Islam, but I do not think that spirituality in general has to be related to religion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, in my personal experience, it is obviously related because when I think about spirituality and actually I'm someone that reads a lot of philosophy and that has a natural tendency to question related to philosophy and stuff like that. So my personal experience is really of spirituality and reflecting upon existence and stuff is really, really directed toward philosophy, which, you know, can include God. So yeah, my personal experience is that, but if you ask me in general, I think spirituality, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't take the risk to define spirituality right now because that's really vast. So I will just say that it doesn't have to be related to religion. I think spirituality is a different experience for different persons.
Yep. For me, spirituality is really like a way of being, and religion is what you do. Like, you know, there are a set of rules. You know, and I think it goes both ways. I think that religion can be either great for someone or it can be really bad for someone.
Like a lot of things in life, it's just how it's used, you know, it's just.
And I've seen people like who are in drugs and all that. Then they turn religious, like literally like Christians or Muslims and all that. And then boom, overnight, you know, they're at peace. You know. And then you have the other way, you know, they use, like you said earlier, they use religion as a means to destroy, a means to, you know. What would you like to see? What would you like most people to know about Muslims here in Canada and in America in general? What would you like people to know most?
Not one precise thing, but I would just want them to learn history. I mean, I think history is something that most people should learn about everything, like not just Islam, because it helps you get perspective on the world, your own world, the place you're living in. So you kind of realize a lot of stuff and you learn to deconstruct a lot of norms that just seem, you know, natural for you. So in general, I think learning about history of Islam, learning about the values, about a lot of stuff to just stop, you know, just learning to stop giving judgment and assuming things that are not true. Or something that really, really upsets me right now is all the talk about Muslim women. And okay, so I read these articles about how Islam is so, you know, oppressing women and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's upsetting me. But then I go to the comments, and that's the worst part, because there actually are white male that are literally writing phrases that goes like Muslim women need them to liberate us or stuff like that, and these men are claiming themselves feminists. This is so outraging. I mean, feminism is something plural, sorry. So there is not one theory of feminism. It's not, there are a lot of feminism, but I think, and they have a lot of different views and opinions, but I think if there is one thing all feminists would agree on is that you don't talk for women and you don't just liberate it. So, and it's so, how can you as a white man assume that you have to liberate Muslim women? It's just ridiculous. You don't do that. Like, just, if we need to liberate ourselves, we're gonna do it ourselves. It's not, it's just, and you dare call yourself a feminist after saying something like that. As a woman, Muslim and feminist, I am just outraged that someone can just take such a position. And
go ahead.
Yeah, just saying. So you asked me something that I want people to know here. So that would be a good example. As a Muslim feminist, stop trying to save me. That's it. Like, no, like, we don't need you to liberate us. Just stop that. Something you can do is participate in movement that help, remove the oppression, the international oppression mechanisms that then can help women.
I'm sorry, just 1 second, because there's a lot of noise in the back, and I think I don't hear you well.
Oh, sorry. Do you hear me now? Okay. So, well, yeah, I pretty much said what I wanted to say. Just, yeah, don't try to liberate me. Thank you.
Yeah. And you know what? That stems from ignorance. When people say, I want to liberate you, because we listen to, there are a lot of movies made about, people who went to Iran and all these places, and, it was terrible, blah, 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 blah. But again, that's one place in the world. That's not all, that's not all Muslims. Yeah. That's not all Islam.
And even there, like I was saying, fight for stopping wars, oil wars in that region, so people would not have to fight again for their survival. So then, if they want to fight for, let's say, feminisms, they will have
again, I hear you. I didn't hear you well. Which you just
said, sorry. I was saying fight for stopping, for example, the oil wars in that region, so people can have the time and the resources to fight, for example, for feminisms, because right now the oppression of a lot of countries in the South makes people have no time for anything else than survival and protecting themselves. So if you really want to help people, just start by fighting against the oppression you're part of, not trying to liberate them from something you just don't know about. So, and when I'm saying, the oppression you're part of, I'm including myself, because I'm living here. And so just to specify, I'm not talking about just the other, like I'm on the center of something. I know I'm part of it, but still, I think that's the way people can help, not by trying to go all night in the shining armor on us. So,
one thing I just want to say, and I think one thing that helps me keep an open mind about Islam and all that, and not get sucked into what the media says and all that, is because when I went to Africa the first time, I judged Africa from my perspective here. And when I went over there, I went, well, okay, I didn't know anything about Africa or Africans. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing with Islam and Muslims. We see it from here, from our TV screen and all that. If you really want to know about Islam, go to these countries. If you really want to go to, and like you said earlier, study history, get to know the thing, not just, at the 6:00 news says this, so it's the gospel truth.
Mm-hmm. And I like the example you gave about Africa, because it's another thing that, it's just people have a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about it. I hear a lot of really weird thing about Africa a lot of the time. Like one of them, if I say I'm African, it's ridiculous, but it happens all the time. How come you're not black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because we think that Africa is a country now.
Yeah, a lot of people still think that.
Yep.
It's kind of funny actually.
Hey, one last question. Among your, with your life experience, what is the most important lesson you've learned?
Oh God. That's a good question. I don't know. I think the only lesson I learned is that I still have a lot of things to learn before I can answer that question.
Great. Thank you very much. And you know what? I think one of the lessons you learned, I think you're very wise because of your experience. I think it's tolerance. Like,
that's true. I'm pretty tolerant.
Don't judge someone just by its cover or by the label. You know, like you said in the beginning of the conversation, you said once people know that I'm Muslim, then they change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, that's what I hear from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's not true for everyone though, because I mean, I have, actually I don't have a lot of Muslim friends, and I have a lot of friends, not Muslim friends, who, don't really care about that and just, take me for the person I am. So yeah, it's part of it, but it's part of it like anything else. So it's not everyone. So I just, want to add this little, thing, this little hopeful, comment, but it's true that it happens a lot.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. Wow, it was enlightening. I learned a lot. I'm glad I did that conversation with you. I really learned, and actually you confirmed a lot of things that I thought.
Sorry?
I said you confirmed a lot of the things that I already thought, as far as don't judge Islam by what you see on television and all that. And,
yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me and, for giving a space to try and talk out all of these misconceptions and stuff. So,
right. Anytime you want to do it again, I'm open to it. Thank you very much, Rimel.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it for today. That's it for the interview. Hey, I just want to thank Rimel. I mean, thank you so much for this interview. You were open. It was fun. I hope people that you've been entertained. I hope that it enlightened you. I hope that it brought something positive out of you. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Rimel. All you people out there, Merry Christmas. And you can reach me at FrédéricBaye.com, on Twitter at ByFred, on Facebook, Frédéric Baye, or check out my YouTube channel for all the episodes, The Book Geek. Until next time, just remember, live with purpose, passion, and love. Merry Christmas.